Hi everyone. Today we can go through Android SQLite Database topic by implementing a small project which will demonstrate how the SQLite databases work. So first of all, go to open the Android Studio and go to File, New Project. The new project is open. Company domain lectures. Application name. Let's say it is SQLite test. Yeah, SQLite test is the name of our application. This will be the project location. See Android lectures and SQLite databases. You can also change the location from here by selecting the place where you want to store this project, as we have explained that before. Now go to next, and from here you select the minimum SDK. We select the ice cream sandwich minimum Android version and API level 15. That is our minimum SDK. It is already selected, so we go next, and then from here sorry, we can select the empty activity and click next. So activity name, let's say the name of this activity is database or database activity, and the layout name is activity database, and then we click finish. Now the Android Studio will open this project in some time. All the configurations and dependency and Gradle and all those things are working to open it. That's it. Now we have opened the SQLite test. There's still some background work going on. The process takes a few seconds, so you need to be patient. So the Gradle synchronization and build and configuration setting, everything is finished. Now we can go to our layout file first of all, and we create a layout for the demonstration of our SQLite test project. If we click on Android database.xml, we get this design view with this name of the project SQLite on the toolbar above. And first of all, we can delete this. We can click here and we can simply press del. This will be removed. And then we can press Ctrl S, or we can click here to save it. The hello world text view is removed. As you see, this is also removed from here. Now let us choose here a linear layout first of all. Linear layout is easier to work with. This is linear layout, and that's it. Now the next is, our plan is to create two tables with certain rows. One will be one will be employee table, the other will be products table, and each table will have three columns. One will be ID, name, and age. And in the case for the employees and for the case of products, it will have ID, product name, and the product price. So let us see how we can design this in the layout. We can describe in a pictorial way using Paint what kind of database we want to implement here in this SQLite project. So we will have a database which we will call as records database. Records DB. And So this records DB will have two tables. Table 1 will be employee table, EMP employee table, TB. Table 2 will be products table, product underscore TB. And these two tables will have three columns each. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. Three boxes. So this is going to be ID, this is going to be name, this is going to be age. This is going to be ID in the case of product table, this is going to be name of the product, this is going to be price of the product, and this is going to be the age of the employee. And then both these tables will have, okay, these three columns, ID, name and age, and then the rows. So this is the database that we are going to implement right now in our project. Now we go and see how the layout will look like. Okay, now we are back to our layout, and we are missing one important parameter here, which we have to use for the linear layout, that is Android orientation parameter. The orientation for this layout will be vertical. Now what we need, now first of all we try to create the, say, some text boxes for name and age in each column in the like we create, for example, the I for the name and age, because ID, okay, it will be automatically updated by the, that we don't need to put from the interface. So we just need a name and age text boxes, and we make, let's say, three rows. We can only show then 3 rows of each column on our, or on each of these two tables on our UI. So first of all, we need to use another inner linear layout so that our, just select wrap content here now. Again, wrap content. So that our our controls are looking very structured and they're easily adjustable on the screen. And the orientation should be, for this case, vertical, because we want to place, sorry, horizontal, because we want to place both the controls in the same line. Okay, now we can use a text view, text text view. Sorry, we should have an edit text here, not a text view, because we should be able to input the data from the UI. We can have the width as wrap content. We can copy this wrap content from here. No, we can have the height as wrap content, because, and the width we can have as we can also have as wrap content. I think that's better. Because this wrap content will only make the size according to the content that it contains. And now we need to define a ID, and we need to define a display text for the ID for this edit text control. So let us assign an ID. We can search it. Android. Click here. Then at the rate of Android I So we write here ID, then click it, double click it, then you get these helping options like plus ID slash, click it and then write the name of this text box like employee age, employee name, employee name 1, say. This will be our first row and first column, employee name 1. Then we can now write Android, text for this control, and let's say the text is employee name 1 is the text, and that's it. Better name it like name employee 1. That sounds more better. And now just copy paste this text, edit text control, and now write instead of name age, because the next text option will be for the age. And control Z, we have to write here age of the employee 1, and that's it. Now let's see how our design view looks like. So we have a name employee 1 and an age employee 1. Now we can simply copy paste this whole block from the linear layout and the two edit text box inside, and paste it again down, and this time name it to employee 2. Also the text should be employee 2, and then for the second text box the edit text ID should be name age employee age 2, and then the text should be age 2. And now see how it looks like. So we have a second row with name of employee 2 and his age. Now we can simply copy it one more time so that we can show 3 rows or update 3 rows of the employee table. Now we copied this, and now we can rename the ID of the edit text 1 of the first edit text to name employee 3. The display text should be name employee 3, default display text. Now the employee age should be employee age 3, and the display text for the employee age 3 should be employee age 3. And now we can again look at our design, and we have a third row with the name employee 3 and the age employee 3. So we should be able to load the 3 rows and show these column values here. We should be able to change these column value here by editing these text boxes and pressing a save button, save the employee data button or something. And we should be able to do the same for the product table. So we simply go back to our text view, or we can also do it here the way we want, but this will be easier. We simply go again, copy. Now this time we can copy all these 3 rows and then modify them for our product table. So we copy all of them, we paste them, and we come to this one, the first row in the product table, and we can change it to the ID to product name 1, the display name to product, control Z, name employee to name product 1, PROD 1. Employee age should be product age 1, and the display name should be age product 1, and we do the same for the other. So for the next one, we do the same. This should be name product 2. Write product name 2, and the display name should be display text should be name product 2. So this is product age 2, and the display text is age product 2. Similarly for the third one, product name 3, the ID, the display text, third row is name product 3, and for the product, sorry, this is not age, this is product price, product's price 3, and the product price 3 also the display text, product price 3. So we should also make it like it was the other way around, price product 3. Price product 2, product price 2, product price 1, the ID, and price product 1, the display text. Now let's see how our UI looks like. So our UI has 3 more rows. Now it's better that if we have placed a text box in between, like which is showing that this is the employee table, and this text box here which is showing that text view there which is showing that this is the product table here. So we have go to the text editor. We can place a linear layout first of all on the top of this rows for the employee table. Remove these 2 controls and add here, wait a second, we have to change our screen, our keyboard. So this is now text view, wrap content, width and height, whatever the content will be, the width and height will adjust according to that, the content text I mean. What will be the text now? Android text should be employee employee table. We can copy this whole and then place it between the employee and product table and change the text to product table. So above the product table we also place this text view and we name it to product table, PRODUCT, product table. So that's it. Now see how our design looks like. Now we have a product view text view here and employee table text view here. So now let's go back and add some buttons to get these values, to save these values in the database, and to load all of these values in the database, or to load per table, whatever the way we want to like. So let's do it. Let's go to the text view again and add some buttons for this. I think it's better if we could expand our controls to in this whole width somehow. They will look more better. There will be more space. So how can we do it? Let's see. I think we can change our width of the linear layout, these containers, to match parent instead of the wrap content. MATES, match parent. So we can have now match parent also for this first row of our employee table, as the width should be match parent. Again, let's see, for example, what happens after we change the width of the first row. So and now we can drag these controls to kind of adjust the size. We make name like this, then we click on the age of the employee and then let it cover the rest. Control Z because we made it more than required, and then like here. So that is, this is the age and name. Similarly, let's see if we can also drag it without setting the width as match parent. See, I think it's easier if we do it by setting the width first of all here as match parent, and then adjusting the size match parent for this linear layout container of the second row, and then the linear layout container of the third row as match parent, and do it for all the rows of the two. So now we have changed the layout width of all the inner linear layouts to match parent instead of wrap content. And now we adjust the size in the design like the first row. So now like the second one, we can also drag this name first up to here. And now we can drag this end of the age up to here, and we do the same for all the rows. So now it looks better. And now we can add the buttons to it. We should go back to our text view and add the buttons. Again, we copy this linear layout So we copy this linear layout block again with the text view edit text inside, and we delete the edit text and add the buttons. PU buttons. This should be wrap content. This should be wrap content. And then we have to copy this and add another button, then add its IT and text blocker. The text. Okay, now we have these buttons here. As you see, we can also drag them like we dragged our controls for the edit text and make them look better. So these are the two buttons. Now we copy paste this and add two more buttons, and then add a third button. So we can call our first button as the save employee button, save employee table, save EMP table, and we can add a text. Oops, sorry. Android text. This is a display text, which will be save space employee. And we can add the same thing. We can copy the ID. We can copy the text to the next button and name it load employee table, LOAD, load employee table. And the display text for the button should also be load employee. So we can do the same for the remaining two buttons in the next below linear layout and call it like save product table and load product table. First we copy, now we change this to load. Let's add for save product table, save PROD product. Now we add save employee table, sorry, save product table button, and now we add load product and load product table. So that's it. And now our last button can be, we can copy the ID from here again. ID is already there, so we just copy the text property and we add here the ID as delete all button, and we call it as delete tables. So this button is going to delete all the contents in the tables, or delete all, we can say delete all the contents. It will make both the tables empty, something like that. Or we can make the table, we can delete the tables, or we can delete the database. I mean, depending on, let's see what we do with these buttons. So that's it. That's how it all looks like. Drag this last button to, let's say, to the whole area so that it looks better. Now you see there is a space from here, but there is no space from this side and also on the top. So we can add some margin, to the left and to the top so that it looks more better. the margin, just add the margin. So Android, for this last button, we add a layout margin from the left. Let's say it is 20 pixels. And let's say we also add a margin from the top. Or do we need? I don't think right now. I think this is enough. And we can have a layout margin defined on the top before this, inside this linear layout for the text view of the Android table, sorry, of the employee table. Android layout margin top, let's set it to 20 pixel as well, and also set a layout margin left here because there was no space from the left side as well, 20 pixel. Now we copy these two and we can add it to our other linear layouts. We don't need a margin top, I think here only from the left some spacing is enough. Now we see how our design looks now. Now see these two are moved on the left a little bit, and also from the top you see this is moved, this employee table has moved down, So let us see if we can do the same. If we can move the other controls to the left also a bit. We don't need to move the controls down from the top. Maybe we need a little bit of spacing between the Android table and the product table, so we can add this here, both the top and left margins, where we write this product table. You see there's no more space from the top and from the left both. And now we can maybe add in the rows, we can only add, for the product table we can only add the margin left. So copy both. No, sorry, now you can copy only one, Android left. This is it. Now do it for all the rows of the product table. And also for the buttons, control linear layout that contains the buttons for saving and loading the employee and the product tables. Okay, we haven't done it for the remaining two rows of the employee table, so we do it for that as well. Okay, now it will be looking much better. Let's see. Now see, now everything else is moved to the left. This looks quite nice. And now let's run and see how our UI looks like. And available virtual device selected. There's only one device which is selected, and now run it and let's see how it goes. So that's how it looks like when it runs. We cannot see the last button here, so let's fix our view a little bit. Let's go to the XML file, text XML file again. We can try to reduce the margin spacing, say from the top we can make it say 10, or let's make it 5 pixel. So the spacing between the two tables, we can also reduce it to 5 pixels, the margin. And there is no other, sorry, it was here, I changed the first one again. So this is 5 pixels, the top margin, and there is no other top margin here, so I think it should be better now. And run it again and let's see what happens. The activity is launching, and that's it. Now it's better. We have a delete button here. I think that's quite fine. This is load product. This is save product, and remove this employee text here from the load product button. Let's see, where is the load product button? Yeah, this is the load product button, and the display text should be only load product. And now we run it again and wait for the APK install and activity launch. It's installing the APK and now launching the activity, and we will see our activity now soon. So that's our app. So now it looks better. Cool. Save employee, save product, load product, and delete all. Now we should add the code behind these activities, behind all these controls, and add the functionality and logic that we can do in the database.activity file. So we have what we have on our activity. Let's see, we have on our activity some edit text boxes, some two text views that we don't need to add something to them because they're just for the display purpose, and then 5 buttons. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, so 6 and 6, 12 text boxes and 5 buttons. So let's add them to our code. So simply inside your class, above the onCreate function, just write edit text. If you write edit, you can be able to select using from the selection menu. Click on edit text, and then click name emp1. That's it. Now copy it 12 times. Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. We have copied it 10 times. Now we can change them. Age employee 1, name employee 2 for the second row of the employee table, age employee 2. Now for the third row, age employee 3. So now we do the same for the product table, for name product 1 and price product 1, and same like this for the other 2 rows. So we have defined all the variables for these edit texts, row and rows and the row and column values. Now we can add the 5 buttons. Button, write PUT, and then you get PUT, you get a button. Control in the list, just click, double click, and now add. Now name it save employee btn. Now copy it 5 times and then change the name of the variable because we have 5 buttons. Load employee button, load product button, and then delete all button. So now we should go into our onCreate function and we should assign the control views for all these controls to these variables. Let's start with the name employee 1, which is equal to, sorry, you got to open the braces and add edit text variable here, and then find view by ID function, and then do it like r.id, and then find this particular ID for the name of the employee name 1. That's it. And then do it for all the edit text boxes, and also for all these 5 buttons. You need to assign these variables by using this find view by ID function, and then finding the specific control in the a view for the control in the layout view. So now we have loaded all these control views for employee name, employee age, and product name and product price for all the three rows of the two tables, and assigned them to the variable edit texts that we defined here for the three rows of the Android for the data for the SQLite database tables for employee and product. Price product 1 does not seem to be assigned well. So yeah, we defined it two times. So this should be price, P-R-I-C, price product 1. And that's it. Now we do the same for the buttons. Control C. Now we do the same for the buttons. Let's write save employee button here, and then equal to cast it to a button, but to one button, and then use the function find view by ID to find this view inside our layout or .id dot save employee table, and that's it. Now we can copy it 5 times, and then just change this variable name, and then this button view that has to be loaded for different variables 5. Now we have here a load product button, sorry, first of all load employee button, okay, and then this should be, I think the name of the control was load employee table, and then we have save product button, and then we can go here to the dot again, press dot, and then select save product button and remove, oops, control Z, we have to remove this from here and do it for the remaining two. This is load product button, and then delete this one and add delete all button here, and then select the dot delete all button from the button view from the layout. So that's it. We have loaded all our layout view controls and assigned them to the variables of the buttons and text views, edit text views that we defined here inside our class. Now we can run it again to check if there is no error and everything is running properly. Click on run again from here, and then check your app inside the emulator, Android emulator. It will install the APK and then load the activity, the main activity here, installing the APK, launching activity, and the activity is launched. So everything seems perfectly fine. There are no errors until now. Now we have to add the logic for the clicks of the buttons, and we have to add this database that we defined. This database, we have to find a way to add these tables, to delete these tables, or to add records to these tables, and load them using these buttons in our emulator. Let's find the emulator. So load them using when we click, for example, save employee, this record is saved in the employee database table, and if we load it, it is loaded the same for others, and for the product table, and then we implement this logic now. Now we start writing the code for our database. First of all, we need to create the SQLite database. So first of all, we need to create a class that we can name as DB handler SQL, we can say, or just DB handler. We know that it is an SQLite database. and we create this class by clicking here on, and we click this under this. We created this class under this same folder where the database activity, our main activity class, is located, and we need to extend this class from the SQLite open helper class. SQLite open helper class, and this class database helper is going to give us functions that are going to create a database, add tables to the database, add rows or columns to the database, or delete contents into the database. So this, for this reason, we have to extend this class by the open helper class, SQLite open helper class, because this uh, is going to implement the methods, that are active, the abstract methods that are defined in this class. So this is going to be our kind of helper class that's going to help us to define all those functions, because the functions are created in this class, and we are going to abstract functions are in this class, and we are going to extend them or create them here. So we see here an error. This is because there's some functions that need to be overridden, and so we need to define them. We can click implement methods, and it will automatically add those functions like on create and on upgrade. These methods should be overridden and implemented here in this class. Yeah, so before we add code to these two functions, we see we still have an error. Why we have an error? Because we need to create a constructor which is going to match the super constructor that is in this SQLite open helper class. So we should click here and create a constructor for our database handler class, and this SQL OpenLite contains name string, factory, and version. This we can click to add this constructor to our class, and we see now there is no error. So these three functions are needed, these two override functions and this handler, whenever we want to extend a class from the SQLite open helper class. So now we need to define some public static final strings to define the name of our databases, the name of our tables, and the name of the rows inside the tables. We can also create some static final strings to write to store the string queries, for our database handler class. So let's define a string, public static final string, and caps lock records underscore db, and let's say its name is records underscore db. It should be inside the inverted commas. That's it. Now copy this and paste it and add the table names and then variable names 4, 5, 6, because there will be 3 columns each table, so we need 6 of them. So now we can write here instead of records as employees employees and tb employees table product underscore table products underscore table. So just name them as employees table products table, and then our columns, let's say this is empid its name is at the IT column of the employee table. So in the same way we have employee name and emp underscore name. define it now, emp underscore age, and we do the same for the, so we do the same for the products table, prod underscore id, let's name is as id again, sorry, id. Then this is product name and product age, columns also defined. And now we can try to create this database. Let's first of all make our constructor simple. We can remove all these version and cursor factory and string name. We can use the string name as well, but in that case we will have to give, for example, the database from the other class as a parameter to the constructor. But right now I think we can simply, because we have already defined the database name here, so we can simply copy this records database and give it as a second parameter of our super constructor, and then we can give this as null, and let's give the version as, let's say, 1. So that's it. This is our constructor defined. Now we need to, so this is going to create this database, record database, this constructor, and now we need to create our tables in the constructor. So we can use like db, because SQLdb is the object for this class here in this parameter, so we can use db.create, and we use db.create function here. This is already, the database is created. This create function is not used here. We should use the execute SQL function here, the first one, and provide a string SQL command that is going to create this function. So we add an SQL command, just like a normal command for the normal SQL tables. So we can write a string create. Can actually use also small letters, because this is all, not case sensitive. So create table. Now give the name of the table, for example, plus as a variable. We can give the name of the table first of all as employee tables. So plus we need to again have inverted commas here and parentheses, and in these parentheses we should define our columns. For example, id, which is which is an integer, 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 and auto increment, increment, and then we can have for example, can have a comma. The next is emp underscore age, which is text. Then comma, we have emp underscore age, which is also an integer. So that's it. We have defined our 3 columns here as well. The table is created with these 3 columns. And we do the same for our next table, which is the products table. Just copy this exec SQL statement, paste it, and change the table name here to products table, and then id is an integer auto increment, and then we have this is employee name. It's employee name, which is the text. Then we have product name, which is a text, and we have a product price as the third column, which is the integer. Now we have to implement, so our onCreate function is implemented, that is creating two tables, employee table and product table, with these three columns: employee name and age in one case, and employee product name and product price in the second case. Now we need to implement our need to add some code. So we need to add some code here in our upgrade function. We simply copy the same exec SQL statement. This function SQL should now have drop table if exists command, and then we should have the table name as here, and then that's it actually. And we can do it for the we can copy this one, that will be easier. We can do it for the second table, which is products table, and then we add our own create database function. This is called again here, and this will be upgrade of the database. So I mean, if there is one function that we can for now use here for the demonstration purpose, if you create here an SQL DB object and do it like is equal to this dot create get writable database, then this function is going to create the database with this name and also with these tables for you, and that you can just see if it is working properly. You can go and check in your settings here in the Android Studio where the database is located, where it's created. So you should know first of all, go to your main activity, the database activity, and create an object of this class here where you define or declare your variables, say db handler class, and name it db handler, and then you call the constructor of the db handler class. Db handle is equal to new db handler, and you give here the application context, get application context, and then you can add a semicolon. And now if you will run your app, the control will create all those control views on your activity first of all, and then assign using this database.xml file, then assign these views from the XML to these variables, and then come here and create the database using this constructor, because this db handler constructor is going to call this constructor in the db handler class, and this is going to call the super constructor with these parameters, records db, and this as get writable database is going to create these tables for you, and that you can check. That I will tell you how you can check. First of all, we run it and see if everything is working properly. First, this is working. We see our database created. Then we can then I can demonstrate how we do upgrade, how we insert data and delete data, and all those things. So our app is launching. So now we will create two functions for inserting the values in our employees and product table. We can copy paste this function and then change it. For example, we use the name insert employees to insert a row in the employee table, SQLDB, And then what is our, we don't need this here, we can simply create this object inside the function. Here we can use, for example, an int, which is emp, which is, let's say, id, and then a string, which is name, and a string, which is, the third argument is string age. So what we do now, we copy this object and we paste it here, this get.writable database object that we have created. Now we can use, for example, there is another class called content values that we can use to put values inside our columns. Sorry, first we need to create an object of the content values. We can call it column value, which is equal to new content value constructor, and then this object is created, column value, CULUM, and column value. Now let's copy this column value and use the put function of this class content value to insert the integer or string or anything you want. So first of all, our ID is integer. This is an automatically incremented value, so we don't need to add this. We can use just the string, for example, string key and string value, and add, for example, in employee name column, the name of this value that will be passed through this function name. Similarly, so age will be an integer also, int. So column value dot put, and now we use the string key and value integer value as our second column. So this is emp age, comma age, and we don't need to write this id value, id column ourselves, because the id is an auto increment value. Now we call the insert function of the database object, of the SQL database object db, like db dot insert. It has three values as arguments: string table, string null, column hack, and content value. So we can simply add first argument as the table, emp employee table, comma null, comma column values. Okay, now this insert function gives us back a response, which is either an integer -1, or it is the row that is returned by this insert function. It's giving an error. Let's see what the error is. Okay, the required is int found long. So okay, this is returning a long value, so we should make it a long. Okay, now this response is going to be -1 if it's an error. So if we will say if response is equal to -1, return 0, else return we can return a boolean as well. Return false. false false. Actually, we simply don't need to return anything. We can simply write here an integer, and we can return the response. That's it. And we can check if the response is -1. And sorry, it is a long. If the response is -1, we can print that this is an error. If it's not, then we can print that this function worked fine. Now we can copy the same thing again, the same function, and do the same process for the insert function of the products table. Instead of employee, we should write here products, products, string name, and int is price. Change the age to the price value. Change the column name to product name, PROD, product name, or to the product price, product age. Oh, that's wrong. We need to have here a product price because product has no age but a price. This was a typing mistake. PRICE, price. And then we have here price. Product price. And we also change the name of the table here. That should be products table. And that's it. So our two insert functions for the two tables are written. Now we can write the function to get the data from these two tables. Let us again copy this and paste it below and change the function to get employees, get all employees, or get employees table. So we should have our return type as a cursor class. Cursor class is actually a class that provides us the read-write access to our data in the tables. For example, if we will get the table data, employee table data in the cursor class, when they're using the cursor class, we can access the individual records. Control C. We don't need any arguments. Then we need a database object. This getWritable database is going to give us a database object, and then using this cursor class, employee emp cursor, we can, using this gb object dot get query, or just query, let's see, query or raw query. Yeah, we can use this raw query class to kind of select the data from our table, and we know how we used to do it in the database, normal SQL database, like select steric, which means select all the rows from, and then again semicolon plus employee table. Select all the rows from the employee table, and then it also needs a second argument. We can put it null, and then we remove this and we return the employee cursor back. So this is the get employee table data that is being returned by this cursor. Now we can do the same for our products table. We simply need to replace the employee by the products, get products table, and then we can change the value here, PRO products table, and return. This can be called as product cursor. This can also be called as product cursor. So now we have functions to insert data into our employee and products database tables, and also to get data from the employee and products table. What else do we need? Now I think we need two more functions to update the data in a certain column for both our tables. For this, we can again copy these two functions and modify them to insert. Like, first of all, we copy only the employee, insert employees, and modify it so that we can update a certain row inside our employees table. Update employees table. Here we need to pass also our int ID, and now the function we need to use is database dot update, and this has first column as the employee table. Second column is actually, what is the second column? Content values null. So second value, we can just click here and go to the implementation and see what values we have. So first argument is table, second is content values, third is the string where class, and the fourth is the string array. So we can use here our column value, before we put the where class, string where class, we also need to add our ID this time. Employee ID, which should be ID, because we have to tell our table, our database, that which row in this table to update, because it's not like inserting new record, it's like updating an already existing record. So then we need to use our ID column. We can better use it as emp underscore ID for the employee table, and prod underscore ID for the product table. So we use here the emp underscore ID. So what is our ID, comma, the new string array initializer expected. So here in the curly braces, we want to add the ID, and this should be a string. So that's now fine, there's no error. Now what does this mean? This means that on the basis of this employee ID, we are going to change the record. For this particular employee ID that we are going to pass, we are going to change this, And now with the return value, we can say return, let's say return true, and we can use a boolean here, because if this function performed well, everything perfectly fine, it goes to the next statement, it will return true. And we can also check on the basis of this if the update for the certain row were perfectly fine or not. Now we use the same function for our products table. Simply copy it again and change the employee to products. Table string ID, string name, and int price. Price price. Now we should use here product ID. We should use product name as the second column. As the third column, we should use product price, and then this age becomes price, this third argument. And on the basis of the, now first of all we need to change the table name, which is the products table, in the update clause, and on the basis of the product ID we change the particular row. So now we have update employee table, update products table, and get, and so we have quite some functions now. I think we are maybe ready to go ahead to implement our database activity and call these functions and put this logic behind our button and edit text controls. This is not in the line, just select Control A and then Control Alt L. This will fix the indentation. You can do the same in your database holder class. Just click here, Control A to select all, and then Control plus Alt plus L to do the proper indentation, and that's it, and then save it. Now we go back to our database activity class and see how we implement all this logic behind our controls. So first of all, we can write the click event of the load employee table button dot set on click listener view new view dot on click listener. We have already described these things in detail, so we can click on the implement method for this class on click, and this will implement this override function on click. And here we can, for example, try to load, for example, read get. We can use the from this db handler function get employee table and read the data from the employee table, and this will, we can declare a cursor class here and get the response variable, and then we check if response dot get count to see if we got some rows back in the response is equal to 0. It means that this is an error. We can use some logging information here. Android has a built-in logging information as well. Log class log dot, you can say debug, error. This is for E, this is for I, is for information. We do it for, I think we can give an error information out here. So let's write here the response is empty. The, the employee data response, employee table data response is empty. We can, let's say, define a tag here. Public, this is tag for our logging, public, then we can know from which class the log information is coming. Static final tag is equal to final, this should be a string, strng string is equal to DAT database activity dot we can just simply use a string here and not make it, for now keep it simple, and just control X database activity underscore, so it will show us that this message is coming from this class. So simply we add the tag here, and that's it. So if the response will be 0, there will be no rows returned, then it will give us this error message. And we can also return from here, because there is no need to go ahead and enclose this in parentheses. That's it. And else we define a string buffer, call it data buffer, and is equal to new string buffer. That's it. And now data buffer, now first of all, while this response cursor is not empty, response dot is first, move to first. What function you used? Is there any function for the next variable, just like we iterate over the iterators, or move to next? Yeah, move to next will move this cursor ahead after getting the first value and the second and the third, like this in a loop. And we can again open braces, and inside the braces we can do like data buffer dot append, and inside we can use, for example, response dot get integer, get integer, and we need 0. This will be our ID. We can write here like plus employee. In fact, for now we can simply log these response messages, response values, like log.debug, and simply call the tag here, comma, employee underscore ID, and space this, and we can log all these values. just to see if everything is working fine. Employee name, employee age, so the second column is the string, which is the name, so we should use get string function here from the response cursor class string, and in the case of the age we should also use the get int and with an index 2. So this is what load uh, empty button will do, and we can simply also uh, show them in our text boxes, like uh, employee employee 1. How can we implement this? First of all, we can only show in the log file, and then we see how we show them in our text boxes, in our edit text boxes. So this is it, and now we should copy everything, this whole click set on click listener function for the load employee button, and do it for the load product button. And then we can do everything the same. We call this function db handle for the products table. That's it. And then it should be product ID, product name, product price, and everything else remains the same. Sorry, we need to change this method. The product table data response is empty. So this is the implementation of our load product and load empty button. Now we can do the same for the save buttons. We can copy again this, and we can simply change the name of the load employee button to the save employee button. You can call the same function for the save employee button. We will not call this function, but we will call the function dot save, or I think insert dot insert is better, insert employee. And this is giving an error because okay, it has two values, that is string and int. So we can call here the get employees table, sorry, the insert, we were at the insert employees table, and we should remove this because this is a long and RESPONSE long response. And let's say we put here the insert employee means we should have here employee name employee 1 comma age employee 1 as arguments, string to int. So we have maybe defined wrong arguments. It's an age. Okay. Dot get text dot toString, because this is our text box. So we get the text from our edit text box for the name of the employee, first employee, and then change it to toString. And we do the same for the age. We should do first of all get text, and then let's see how we can change it. Dot to, there is nothing like an integer, so we should also again parse it to an integer. We have a function in Java which is called integer dot parse int, and we give a string inside it, an argument. So that is all. If response is equal to say -1, it means that, now let's see what will be the response. If it's going to show an error, we go back here, insert employees, yeah, it will be db insert. Let's say what is the response, go to the implementation, the response is a null, and if it is error then it is -1. So I was right. So if the response is -1, the employee table insert data insert failed, and we can return, and we can remove this. We can also add another check to see if the values in the name employee1 and the name age employee1 are not, text box are not empty. Only then we call this function. If name emp1 dot get text dot, let's say, do we have any function for the empty? No, we don't have it. So we can use like is not equal to null, and the value for the age of the employee1 is also not equal to null. And we can have this inside the braces. Control A, Control Alt L for the indentation, and that's it. So we did it for our first row. We can do the same procedure for our next two rows now. The employee table data insert for row 1 failed because it's the first row, in our screen. And we can do the same for our other two rows. But first of all, we can check if these small things are working, and then we can extend it more. So instead of this name1.get text is not equal to null, because we already have uh, some default string values inside our text edit texts, we can maybe use better, maybe this, I think this won't work. We can use the toString is empty. If it is empty, sorry, we can convert the input
Hello guys,
value
welcome to the next video on
to the,
Android.
so this is not is empty, and we change this to also the age dot getText dot is dot toString dot is empty, and then we can say it's not empty. So when they are both not empty, only then we write something in the database, and then we can go up, and maybe it's better that if we set the default value of the price and age to some integer instead of a string, because then if we save some value which is a string one, then this parsing to the integer will change the default value inside the edit text for the age and price to, let's say, 0. For the h2 as well, we can write 0, and for the h3 also 0, and also for all the products. So we are setting the product prices to 0 as well, the default values or the display values in the edit text, or the default input values of the edit text, so it should remain their name. Only the price needs to be 0, and the price 3 should also be, we have to find it, yes, here it is, this is the price 3. Press Ctrl S, save it, go to the design, and you will see that all these values will be 0. Don't see them 0, but why? So I stop the run and let's see if it is changed now. Yeah, it's 0 now, but this is a bit displaced, so push this value back a bit so that it looks nice, and in synchronization with the rest of the values. Actually, sorry, you can push it like this, more easier, or push it like this. Okay, so that's it. All the default values for the age and prices are 0. Now let's go back to our code, and let's say we try to now implement also the delete function, so that when we insert some values, we are able to delete a few as well. So we can now add the functionality for deleting all the records. So we have this delete all button with the set on click listener that is going to be defined here. We're going to implement it here. Let's name this delete all button to delete all records. So in this function, we'll delete the records for both the employee as well as the products. Uh, Table, why we have this error, we should click here. Okay, delete all records. We also need to change this here when we are loading the button view from the XML file. Sorry, so let's go and implement a function here. Let's say it's public void delete records function, which has no arguments. Let's open the braces, and then we can simply make it simple and add, just copy paste these lines from our upgrade function, like drop if the table exists and on create. Oh, sorry, this should be table, 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 and simply we should copy paste this here. It's going to drop both these tables and create them again. We need to create this database SQLite database object as well using this function get writable database, and that is all. This is our implementation. Press Ctrl A to select all, and then Ctrl Alt L to indent, so our function comes to the right position and everything is set. Now we can go to our database activity. In the delete all records button, set on click listener, we simply call this function with this is db handle is our object name for the database handler here. Yes, db handle. So we simply use this db handle function and call this function db handle object, and call this function db handle dot delete records, and that's it. Press tab, and that's it. Now we can run. We run the app now and see how it's working, and if there are any errors, we fix them. We need to wait until the APK is installed and the activity loads. The activity is loading. That's it. So first of all, what do we need? We can move this up so that we can see our log messages that we have for the records, and now we can click on our emulator. And first of all, okay, we should try to save some data. Let's say we write Eric here, and let's say we say his age is 12. And then we should click here and we should save the employee data. So the data is hopefully saved. Now we try to load it. In the load button, as we said, we have defined some, so we have implemented some log messages. If this is not empty, which in this case it should not be empty because we should have one row, we should get this log messages on our Android monitor. Let's see if we get it. Load. No, sorry, we have an error. What is the error? Near from so in our, when we are reading our data, we have not given this space between the from text and the employee table text. So select static from, we have to fix our select statement in our function to read the record. This is the get employee database. Click here, go to the implementation, and here we see, yes, we don't even have a space. Just press a space. Okay, let's see if we have the same problem everywhere else. Yes, in the get product table as well we need a space. Good. Okay, here also we need a space. Oh, sorry, between exists and the table name in our query. And where else do we need a space? Yes, when we delete our records, then here also we need a space, and then we can press Control S to save it, and we run our emulator again and wait for the APK to install and activity to load again. Hopefully now it should work and we should not see this error. So when this will come up, we will click on load. First of all, load employee data, and then we will not see this error hopefully and see the data, the first row that we saved. So the employee is so the activity gets loaded. We click on the button load employee data and we see that the ID was automatically set to 0. Employee name is Eric, employee age is 12. That is what we saved. Now if we want to save, say, another data, we are only using this to save, so we can save another data here, Faisal, and we enter here the age here 9. Oops, sorry. And we save the data again. And now if we load the data, we'll have 2 rows. We load the data, and yes, we see we have 6 values. One is Eric with age 12 and Faisal with age. Our ID is always 0, that we have to check why it is always 0. But first of all, we can see if other things are working fine. Third value is, say, Paul, and his age is 11. Sorry, 11. And when we go down, we save the data, we load the data, and now we will have 9 values, actually 3 rows. Yes, so employee ID 0, Paul, and 11. Employee ID should be 2 in this case, so we have to see why our employee ID is not getting incremented. But first of all, we can check other functionalities. Save is working fine, load is working fine. Now if we delete the data, our data should be deleted, and next time if we load the data, it should give us an error, the error message that we implemented, that the records are that the record is empty. Like here, this one, the employee table data response is empty. It should give this error after we press the delete all button. So all of our records are deleted. Now we click load, and let's see if we get that error message that is, yes, the employee data is empty. So our delete records function is also working. So now let's see what's the problem with our insert method, that our auto increment is not working and only the value added to the ID is always 0. It should actually auto increment the ID, the first value of because this is a primary key. Okay, this is our insert employee function, and this is where the onCreate is done. Yes, so I see 2 things here. First of all, we had changed the ID value to employee ID and product ID, so we should use here emp underscore ID and product ID as the column names, and here we should use employee ID integer, primary key because this is our primary key, and auto and increment should be together. And the same thing we should copy down. It should be primary key and auto and increment should be like this. Now we try to run again and then see if our keys are being incremented automatically or not. We delete this so that we have everything new again, and we have to wait until the APK installs and the activity launches. That's it. We can again delete it to clear everything so that the output is clear in our Android monitor. So first of all, let's say we save the name as Eric, and let's say his age is 10. So we say save Eric. No, actually, first of all, we delete everything so that our tables are deleted again. We start from new. We save Eric. Now it should be the primary key should be 1 and Eric, and it should be yes. So this is the primary key, which is 1. Name is Eric and age is 10. Now we change the name to Steve. Make the age 11. And now we save. It should save with the employee ID 2 automatically. And now if we load, we see, let's see what happens. We can delete again, and you see from the top, now we'll have two values, one Eric and Steve with employee ID of 1 and 2. So load, so employee ID 1, name Eric, age 10, employee ID 2, name Steve, and age 11. Yes, so if we save here Paul, sorry, Paul, Paul, and his age is say 9, and we save, so it should be saved with the employee ID 3. Now we can load it again and check. We loaded it. Now let us check. Okay, employee ID is 1, name Eric, age 10, employee ID 2, name Steve, age 11, employee ID 3, name Paul, age 9. So that's it. So this is all working fine. So everything seems to work fine. Now we can try it. Actually, the demonstration is kind of complete for our SQLite database, but we can maybe change our code to feel a bit more better. We can, for example, add values for the product table as well. We can find a logic so that when we click load from employee here, then the values from the employee table are filled in these three rows on our screen. And if we do load product, then these three values are loaded from the product table, and the save product, and it's the same as the save employee. So we can now kind of complete this app now as our basic functions are done. So we stop the run again and start the coding again. So what we can simply do is that we can simply copy this in the save button. Like if the employee one get text or the age one get text is not, age of the employee one is not empty, then we insert into the database. We can simply do it for the rest. Press tab to move this forward, and now copy this 2 more times, and if index is equal to 2, we should have this name employee 2 and age employee 2 with these values. And if the index is equal to 3, we should have the name employee 3 and the age employee 3. And the same thing we can do for our product table. Sorry, we added this to the product table. Actually, we should copy it, this should be the name and the price. This should be here. This is for the employee. So yes, and we should have index up there. We have our index up there, and we should have index plus plus up here, and increment every time the loop enters here. And this should be the name product 1, and this should be the price, because this is for the load products. This is price product 1, and we can simply copy these and change the values below. This is name employee 2, this is name employee 3, and this is, now we can copy the product price product, and this is price product 2, and this is price product 3. So that's it. This is changed. So we can convert this integer and the price to a string by using this function, string dot value of, and you have an integer inside it. That's it. So just copy paste this wherever you are trying to show a integer value in our edit text boxes, because it takes a char sequence or string as an argument, and we string value of, and we get this integer. Then we do this for the price of the product 2, which is integer. We should do it for the price of the product 3, which is integer, and convert it into a string. So this is implemented. Now what we need to do, we have forgotten one thing. We need to add here in the save product button, we should use the function insert products instead of the insert employee function, because insert employees for only employees table, and for the product table we have defined this insert product function, and now this is insert product. Now we can go and run our application. I think it should be now complete with no errors. So we are going to run the application. We should delete everything so that the output is clear in the Android monitor, and we see how it runs. The APK is installed and activity is being loaded. So now we have our activity. First of all, we can try to load, because we already saved the employee table last time, so we can load and see. Yes, so our Eric, Steve, and Paul, the first 3 values are loaded. The next values are not loaded. Accidentally last time I also added the product values to the employee table because our functions were there. So let's delete everything. Everything is deleted. Now load employee. Load employee gives us the employee table response is empty. Now save the employee. These 3 values will be saved again. Load them again. All these 3 values are loaded again. Now for the product, let us change the values. So let us change the values of our product table. Let's see. We can write the product 1 as apples. Say price is $10. The second product is, let's say, oranges, and the price is $5. price is $5. And then we go to the third product. Let's say the third product is mango, and the price is $12. Sorry. So now we save the product table. All these values are saved, and now if we load them, we should see them even in the log messages. We should see in the log messages. So it says the employee table data response is empty because we clicked the employee table. Actually, we should save the product table first, not the, and then we load. We were clicking the wrong button. Okay, so I think we clicked more than once, and it saved these apples, and it's always saving the first row so many times. So there must be something wrong in the way we are handling our product table. Let's go to the database activity class and see the load product button. Okay, product 1, if index is 1, product 2, okay, product 3. Let us see the save product button. So the save product, we are saving, inserting product 2, price 2, product 3, price 3, product 1, price 1. Actually, it seems alright, so let us try again. Maybe we did something wrong. We clicked the button a lot of times. Let's see. So we have these values. We try to first load the product table, and we get this error that product table data response is empty. Now we click save to save all these three values in the product table. It's saved. Now we load again, and we see product ID 1, apples 10, product ID 2, apples 5, product ID 3, apples 12. So we are always getting apples, so there is something wrong. So product 1 is saved, the name, product 2 is saved, and product 3 is saved. We got to find this error. Need a bit of debugging. So our save product button is also saving once product 1, the second time in the insert product we add the name product 2, and the third time we add the in the insert product name product 3. So this is fine. The load product is also fine. If index is 1, it's loading the product 1, price 1, product 2, price 3, product 3, and name product 3 and price 3. So what is wrong? Let's go up. Yeah, so this seems wrong here. Every time we select the name product 1, we are assigning the same control view for the product name product 2 and for the name product 3 as well. So we need to change it to product name 2 and product name 3 in the case of name product 2 and name product 3 respectively. Now we run it again and see how it works. So it is running, it's again up. We can move this above, and now we add here, let's first of all delete the tables again. So the tables are deleted. Let's try to load the product, and it says the product table data response is empty. Okay, the employee table data response is also empty. So now we put the name as apple is $10. Apple is $10. Orange is $5. We press tab, we come to the next one. Mango is, let's say, $12, and now we save the product table values, and we can clear this terminal again, and now we try to load the product table values, and now we see product ID is 1, product name is Apple for the ID 1, product price is 10. For the product 2 we have product ID 2, name orange, price 5, and for the third product ID we have product name mango and product price 12. So it seems to work fine. Now we can have here the employee, it's maybe ERIC, Eric, Paul, and Steve, and we have age 12, 13, and Steve's age 14. And we save the employee, and now we try to load the employee. So the employee is employee ID 1, then Eric, and age 12, 2 Paul, and age 13, 3 is Steve, and age 14. So this is the demonstration of our, now we can again try to load the product table and see. So from here we have the product values, see Apple 10, number 2, orange 5, number 3. So we have everything done, and this is the implementation. In our delete button we can also add logging information that the records are being deleted. Let's say we add logging information. This is not an error information but D, and the database table are emptied, PTI, both empty. Both the database tables are empty, we can paste it after we delete the records, and then we run again and see how it works. We will see this message. We can also print this message in the save button for the save products and for the save employees. We add here, and we write here the database product table rows being saved, and we do the same for the employee table. Oops. So write the line product name and name values inside it instead. That looks more better. And copy it. Go to the save for the button for the employee table, and write here the employee table, MPLY employee table values. Insert it, and I think this is what we need, and then we can run our app again and wait for the Android activity to load again. And now we will, even if we press any of these buttons like save employee button or save product button or the delete records button, we will see the logging information. For example, let's say we load the employee button. We have name 1, employee 1, name 2, and all the zeros. And when we load, we get Eric 12, Paul 13, and Steve 14 that we saved for the last time. This information is also here visible on the logging information. And now this is our tag that we defined, like database activity underscore, and then this is uh, next information. And now we load the product, and the products are also loaded: apple 10, orange 5, and mango 12, and they are also being shown here. And now if we delete the table, so we will also get a message: delete. Both the database tables are empty. So that's the logging information that we got. And now if we load the table again, we see the error message: the employee database table is empty. Load product, and we get now the product table database is empty. So this is the demonstration, complete demonstration. There are some other functions like update each a single row by its ID, and these functions we haven't seen until now, but I think this small app is quite enough to get you started with the Android database, Android SQLite database. And then you can add more functions, for example, by adding more tables, or by updating. For example, we do not use this update employee table in order to update each and every column, sorry, each and every row of the Android employee database table or a product database table. You can simply provide an ID and string name and price, and update that particular row in this table of products, and for the case of employee as well. So you just need to add another button or anything, and then just call this update employee table or update employee database table here, and then just change that, give the ID in the first row of first argument, and the name and age, that this I and then this name and age and ID will be this ID will be replaced, and you will have an updated row. So I mean, this is how you handle Android SQLite databases.